What's so great about Flower Mound, Texas? Why are so many people moving to Flower Mound, Texas? There's quite a bit of great reasons to move to Flower Mound. If you're thinking of moving to North Fort Worth or the suburbs of North Fort Worth, you've come to the right place. We're going to go through top to bottom what makes Flower Mound awesome, but we're also going to look at realistically what does it look like to live there. And why are people moving there? There's a handful of reasons. The housing costs, it's a pretty wide range. You can go as low as in the 300s and up to multi-million dollar properties. Housing costs are great. The job prospects are great. The school districts are phenomenal. And the traffic is, it's hit or miss. It really is going to come down to what does your commute look like? And are you moving here because of a job relocation? As a matter of fact, we are still seeing quite a few folks move from California, Illinois, Nevada, Florida. People are still moving to Texas in droves. The primary reason is the job market. We have the best job market in the country right now. And there's a reason why Flower Mound checks a lot of boxes for folks is because they're moving here with families. They want safety, security. They want great school districts without having to shell out a ton of money for private schools. And Flower Mound offers all of those things. So stick around. We're going to take this from top to bottom, cover everything. By the end of the video, I want you to feel like you know whether or not Flower Mound is a good fit. Flower Mound strikes a balance of that small town feel with mature trees, but yet gives you the amenities and the accessibility of being close to the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. About the same drive if you've got to commute to Dallas, like downtown area, or if you've got to go to Fort Worth and you're commuting to the downtown Fort Worth area. But it does have some of the best rated schools. I'm talking highly rated schools, some of the top 10%, if not the top 5% in all of Texas. Safe neighborhoods, family-friendly environment, all those things are great. But if we're just talking plainly about the cost of living, there are more desirable areas than Flower Mound. It's above the national average, but not by a lot. And what we're talking about is the median home price being around $550,000 to $700,000. That's the median. And like I said earlier, you can get into the multi-million dollar price range, but the neighborhoods that offer that kind of middle of the road pricing, there's still really good options. There's still some new construction, but that's where currently there's not a ton. Now, with that said, there's a huge development that they're not breaking ground on any houses yet, but the roads are going in. So in the next year, sometime maybe in 2026, we'll see them break ground on some houses, but there's a lot of new construction that will be coming online within the next year. But currently, there's not a lot to pick from unless you're going out to the very west edge of Flower Mound. So $550,000 to $700,000 is the median price. And this is an area that has some great master plan subdivisions. But the housing in general is, like I said, it's above the national average. Utilities, it's about like everywhere else in Texas. In the summer, you're going to be paying more because it gets hot in Texas. I mean, that's one of the drawbacks of Texas. It gets hot. Like the summers are brutal here. There was one summer recently, we were watering our backyard and we had cracks in the dirt because it was so hot and dry. So anyways, it gets hot in Texas. So be prepared for that. The property taxes, that's another downside. But it's not just that the taxes are high. There's a balance with that because we don't have state income tax. And when you're looking at a comparison between, let's say if somebody's moving from California, for example, average tax rate there is going to be less than 1%. Average tax rate in Texas, probably 1.7, 1.6, somewhere in there. And when we compare the two, that's a significant difference. But the home that you can buy in California in comparison to what you can buy in Texas, either if you're buying at the same price point, let's say it's around $800,000 in California, that's about the median, maybe a little less than that, but that's about the median home price in California. In Texas, it's less than $400,000. So same level of home, but almost half the price. So you can start to see where there's a balance where Yeah, the property taxes are higher, but you can get a much better quality of home for the same price. And so, yeah, you'll pay more in property tax, but that also gives you more to write off. And by the way, some new tax laws were just updated. And it used to be that you were capped with a $10,000 maximum property tax that you could write off. Well, now it's 40. So there is a benefit to that too. So moving down the line, groceries, other expenses, other costs of living, it's about like everywhere else. I would say, I don't know for sure, but I would say it's less in Texas than it is in California. The cost of a gallon of gas, a dozen eggs, which I know can get political real quick, but my point is, you moving here, there's an offset. No state income tax is huge. You do have sales tax, but when you do the math, you win. If you own a home in California and you're moving to Texas, you win by the numbers. If you're doing an apples to apples comparison, you win every time. So the next thing that we look at of why people are moving here, I mentioned the job market, and Flower Mound does have its own economy. They've got a very strong local economy. There's a new development. It is the Lakeside Business District. You've got some hospitals, you've got some big businesses, you've got a handful of distribution centers, because right on the southern border of Flower Mound is 121, and you're, the south edge of Flower Mound, you might be 10 minutes from the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. So that convenience, the job market, the economy, and then, the diamond on top is really the schools. Like Flower Mound's beautiful. They actually have some equestrian neighborhoods. When you drive through, it's somewhat horse country. Like there are people that have and raise racing horses, cutting horses. I mean, you're talking about high dollar ranches. But the schools are really, and the education is really where it's at. The unique thing with Flower Mound schools is that there are 4 districts that make up the school system for Flower Mound. It's actually Louisville, Argyle, Northwest ISD, and Denton. And all of them are top-rated schools, every single one of them. There are some campuses that are better than others, but every school district has that. But the Flower Mound High School has ranked top scores when you look at the percentage of kids graduating, going on to higher education. Phenomenal school. So almost anywhere in Flower Mound, you're going to be zoned to some of the top-notch best schools that Texas has to offer. The one thing I will tell you, and this is a personal experience pro tip. We bought a house, this is, it was 20 years ago. And we didn't realize that when we bought it, it was new construction. When we bought it, we didn't know that there was a possibility of the zoning being changed. I didn't even know that was a thing that happened. And we were in our house for about 3 years, and we got zoned to schools that were south of us. It wasn't new construction. It wasn't a great part of where we lived. And it was brutal. So whatever you're being told, verify it. Greatschools.org is a phenomenal website. Anywhere in the country, you can look to see a specific property and then the actual campus that the school is zoned to. That's a really important thing to look at, because for me, for my family, for the kids, it was definitely a concern. And when we felt like the rug got pulled out from under us. So pro tip, verify the attendance zones yourself. Don't rely on what's on MLS, on the listing. Don't rely on that, because sometimes people make mistakes, sometimes computers make mistakes. Verify it. Like, do yourself a favor and verify it. One thing I love about Flower Mound is the amount of parks and outdoor recreation space. They've got over 1,000 acres of parkland, 75 miles of trails. That's a lot of space to run, hike, ride your bike, be outdoors. Like it has a lot. 75 miles is a lot. Grapevine Lake is just around the corner. You've got boating, fishing, water sports. Okay, so we talked about all the great things and all the shiny wonderfulness of Flower Mound. Let's be real for a minute. Traffic, that's definitely a downside. The housing costs, that's a downside. That's, as I mentioned, it's not cheap. You're paying a premium. And then Flower Mound doesn't really have an urban area. It's just one gigantic suburban area. It doesn't have a downtown. It doesn't have any high-rise buildings. There are a few condos, but not many. So that, for someone that's looking for urban area, this might not be your spot. You might be more interested in an area like the cultural district in Fort Worth off West 7th Street. That might be your area. But for the urban feel, it's just not going to be Flower Mound. So to wrap up, Flower Mound has some brilliant things to offer. Schools, for sure, one of the number one things. The price point, even though it's above the national average, when you look at what you get, there are other areas that are not as expensive, but you get value for your money in Flower Mound. I think Flower Mound, it's probably the best bang for your buck when you're looking for established neighborhoods, great schools, and you're not going to have to worry about things getting rezoned. That's one of the drawbacks with new construction, and that's what we experienced. Our house was new construction, zoning changed, and it wasn't fun. So there's a way to get around that, but doing your homework for sure, definitely want to do that. And if this is your first time to the channel, I would invite you to please subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our updates. Hit the like button, that helps us, and please give us some feedback if you're interested in Flower Mound or if there's other area that you would like us to cover. Appreciate you guys joining me, and I will see you in this next video.